welcome to another episode of Kari in the Kitchen. I'm Kari Auringer, the winemaker for Cornerstone Cellars, and this is my husband Jeff.
I'm in the kitchen too.
You are in the kitchen too. And it's been a while since we've been in the kitchen.
Welcome back.
It's good to be back, isn't
Yeah.
it? Back in the kitchen. So it's we've brought our last bit of fruit in for harvest on Monday.
Yeah.
Calistoga Cabernet.
Harvest is over. Woo!
Well, yep. The bringing of the fruit is in, and now the winemaking happens.
Exactly.
So we decided we'd come back into the kitchen. All the fruit's in from the vineyard, and it was a pretty spectacular vintage. And I'll talk a little bit about that, but I think we should jump right into the recipe. We're going to do a pan-seared Arctic Char.
Yeah.
And we have a couple of wines from Cornerstone Cellars that we think is really going to be a good pair.
It's a nice versatile recipe. It's a nice versatile light fish. Let me show you this fish real quickly. It's a relative of the salmon, but it's a more sustainable version of it. So it's not as threatened as some of the wild species of salmon. So we have a nice thin Arctic Char, which is nice. A whole side of Arctic Char weighs about 1 pound. It's so easy to make. This is the easiest recipe there is. All you have to do is you mix a 50-50 blend of garlic powder and mushroom powder. You can heat it a little bit to release more aromas and more flavors, or you can just mix it and forget about it. But all you do is sprinkle on a 50-50 mixture. You have the option of putting salt and pepper on there. You can put on some citrus. You can marinate it in lime. There's all sorts of different things you can do. You can even use, if you have some available, some shio koji, which is a wonderful Japanese marinade that brings out a lot of flavors and sort of pre-ferments the foods. But you can do whatever you like, but this is just so easy. You just spread on the garlic powder and the mushroom powder, and you're done. That's the whole prep.
And just on one side.
Just on one side.
This is skin on.
The skin is on, and we're going to start with the skin side down in the pan, and I was going to talk about that in a quick second. But this is char. We love the char because it's so thin. It tastes like salmon, but it's milder. It's not quite as fatty as salmon, but it's got a lot of fat. And we like it because one of our best friends is Char up in Seattle. Hello, Char.
Hi, Char.
She's the wife of Jim Geisler, who's on our program several times. So we like to call it Arctic Char. And we are going to do a little sauteing at this point. So we're just going to pan-sear this in some olive oil. So you take 2 or 3 tablespoons of olive oil and heat it up. And once you've got it nice and hot, you start the fish skin side down in the pan, and it's just so simple. And all you're going to do,
And just a light sizzle.
Yeah.
You can hear. Okay.
and you hear a light sizzle because the oil was just about to the right temperature. Now it's starting to sizzle more, and I'll get rid of that. Well, actually, I'm not. I'll use it
You're
to
gonna
cut
need that.
later. What you do is you put the fish in the pan skin side down and let it start cooking, and you make sure the heat's nice and hot. And once it starts to cook and sizzle, you add the secret ingredient, which is a very simple thing. This is brown rice vinegar. It's a Japanese magical ingredient that has all kinds of flavors and aromas. It's what's going to bring the flavor and the amazing aromas to the kitchen and to the fish. Turns it into more of an Asian fish. And you take the char, we call it char, and we just add a little bit of the brown rice vinegar to the pan.
A little bit meaning it looks like a tablespoon?
Yeah, maybe not even that much.
Maybe not even tablespoon.
And as soon as everything heats up and the flames are starting to happen now, you'll start hearing that sizzle. And if the oil is hot enough right away, as soon as you put that in there, you'll get this amazing sizzle and steam, and you'll also have this amazing aroma. But it definitely starts to make the kitchen smell absolutely delightful.
I was just going to say, I can smell that already, and it gives me, first of all, it makes me hungry.
Yeah.
And it's giving me an idea of what we might want to be drinking with this.
Yes, and it also makes it smell like an Asian restaurant, which is wonderful. But this is a very versatile fish, and it can go with a few different wines, and we've chosen a few to go with it.
Yep. So the first wine that you have there, honey?
Yep.
This is our 2019
Let's take a white wine.
Sauvignon Blanc, Farina Vineyard.
Yeah.
Right? Cheers.
Beautiful.
So this is our 2019. It's our current release. It would have just come into your wine club shipments recently. And this is a beautiful vineyard over on Sonoma Mountain. One of the things I love about this wine is we've done a little experimenting with it, and we ferment in concrete egg a little bit of stainless steel barrels, and a little bit of acacia wood. So the acacia wood gives it just that little bit of floral and some tropical notes,
Yeah.
but it doesn't smell smoky or toasty. Like, I know there are some producers that are using French oak.
No, it's super clean.
Yeah, and we use acacia instead. Also French wood, it's just not oak. So I have a feeling this is gonna go really well.
I think this might be the thing, but I might have my money on the rosé as well. But
Oh, rosé,
I
you
happen
say.
to love rosé.
Rosé, you say. Well, we also have opened up some of the rosé, the 2018 rosé of Pinot Noir from Cornerstone Cellars. Let me just grab that a little
I
bit.
have mine right here.
You know, it was still a really nice, sunny, warm day today. It kind of felt like spring or summer, even though we're in autumn now. It's just a lovely day to have a little bit of rosé, and so I just thought this would also go well with this fish. Pink fish, pink wine.
Pink fish, pink wine.
Pink wine.
Salmon and rosé works every time.
Pork.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to go really well.
Oh, yeah.
With the fish. So that's it's rosé of Pinot Noir. The Pinot Noir is coming from Sonoma Coast in the Petaluma Gap area, and so that's the second wine that we think is going to be pretty nice. I think with the fish.
May I interrupt for just a moment because there's
Okay.
something I need to do.
Yeah,
Once you
absolutely.
hear the fact that it stops sizzling so much, it's time to make a change. You want to add, if you want, and this is just for color and a little bit of flair, some sliced up or chopped up scallions or green onions, and that makes it even more of an Asian dish in flavor.
little more
But what
aroma.
you've done is once it stops sizzling, you know that the skin is seared, and this is so thin a fish, it only takes 3 minutes or 4 minutes aside. So it's been on there for about 3 minutes, and what I'm going to do is just flip it and get the flesh to start cooking, because this is going to be done in just a couple of minutes. Oh yeah. And now you can see it's starting to sizzle again, and once you put it onto the flesh side, you add a little bit more of the vinegar, and it'll start to sizzle again. And I will bet you
Man, that smells good.
we're gonna probably set off the alarms again, but if it does, I'll
Oh,
just
we
okay
might.
to tell. But I turned this fan on for just a moment. But anyway, now the oil, the vinegar, and the fish are all sizzling with a little bit of scallion in there, and it's going to be done in about 2 minutes. But in the meantime, what else?
Our third wine, the other wine I thought we would try, a red wine. And not everybody thinks that red wine is just go well together, but this is a recipe, especially with the rice wine, that is, I think, going to be Pinot friendly. So this is the Pinot Noir from Cornerstone Cellars. This is our 2018 from Fiddlesticks Vineyard down in Santa Rita Hills,
Right.
Santa Barbara.
And it's from the salmon family, so it would naturally go with Pinot Noir. But it's not as fatty as salmon, so you may want to go with something lighter like the Rosé or even the Sauvignon Blanc. But it goes with all three of these. It's a rainbow.
It's a rainbow.
wine.
This is a really nice fruity Pinot Noir. It's got some nice body in the middle. There's nice
Just a
texture.
second.
Yeah. So I think that this is, because it's on the lighter side of red wines, I think this is going to be a really nice pair. We have had this with salmon, but it's been grilled. We've used some dry rub on it, some umami, some mushroom.
Yep.
But and there's a little bit of mushroom in the powder on the char.
That's right.
So this is the other one that I think is going to
Exactly,
be
the
great.
mushroom and Pinot Noir and salmon. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a match made in heaven. It smells great.
So the
It's smelling great is
Yeah,
that
it
fish.
does
It's
smell great.
smelling great.
So for the 2021 vintage that we are just wrapping up, it's just been a spectacular vintage. And Jeff's been in the vineyard with me and been at the winery with me. We've had a chance to work with a lot of the fruit.
We've been testing the clusters before we pick them, and then we've been sorting the clusters once they're picked. I feel like I knew every one of them personally.
And you do. By the time we see these wines in the bottle, you'll have known them.
I tried to put my initial on some of the grapes, thinking I might be able to recognize them in the bottle, but that wasn't going to work.
No, it didn't work. So we are starting to do some pressing, graining and pressing of the fermented lots that are finished. Yesterday we did the Howell Mountain. That's beautiful wine, but not very much of it. It was really a small vintage, the 2021. Due to the drought, the vines really threw out smaller shoots this year. There's less canopy, there's less fruit out, and the clusters are smaller and actually weigh less. So it's just smaller all the way around. The cluster counts in the rows and the cluster weight But what that does do is it gives us a really concentrated, really beautiful wine.
It pumps up the flavors.
It does, because the flavor, aroma, textures in the skins and the berries are smaller than normal years, so the juice to skin ratio changes. And we've got way more concentration, and it made me think of it with the fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks this year, same thing down in Santa Rita Hills.
Yeah.
Well, the whole state's been affected by the
No
drought.
water. But the vines are struggling, but the wines get to soar.
Well, there you go. That's perfect.
Yeah, I just made that up.
I like it very much. So one of the things we did do this year that I'm very excited about is because as of last night, we officially opened our Yountville tasting room. We're back in Yountville, people. So we're very excited about that.
That's
and
right.
so the the Yountville Chamber of Commerce was there, and the mayor came, and we did an official ribbon cutting. We threw a little bash.
Yeah, and we had a little soft opening for a couple of weeks, but starting tomorrow, on Friday, we're open every day. So come by Yountville and check out these wines, and then go home and make some delicious fish.
Make some delicious fish.
Speaking of fish,
I can smell that.
it's done. I don't know whether you can see it or not, but there's a nice char on the char.
There it is.
and it has a nice skin char on it, nice grilled skin.
It does smell. I like the onions.
The onions are nice.
Yeah, for those of you that like onions, the onions in here, just give it a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then we have a nice, what it's done is toasted the coating that I put on there of the umami rub, the garlic powder and the mushroom powder. So I'm just gonna take this and scoot it into a plate, and then I'm gonna cut it in half lengthwise, and we'll be able to taste it.
You know what I love about this is so fast, so easy.
And smells so good. A lot of times
it
at
does.
first when I thought, oh, cooking fish inside, I always try to avoid that because it makes the whole house kind of smell fishy. But this, all it smells like is beautiful Asian restaurant smells of brown rice vinegar and olive oil and really wonderful fish. So it's a very mild flavor, but look how it comes out. It's just gorgeous. It's just a lovely seared char, or char, if you want to say.
And then we garnish that a little bit.
Yes, and I just made a very few little scallion stem swirls, little twirls.
Oh, that looks nice.
But there we go. And which is very easy. I just sliced them up.
I love how fast this is.
Oh my gosh.
You know?
I mean, when you come home from work and you don't have much time, if you have the ingredients, you just put this on and you're eating in 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah, because the prep was nothing.
Oh, no.
Well, it was nothing for me. You did it, but
was
still
30
it was nothing.
seconds of prep.
Didn't take very long.
So what I do is I like to cut it lengthwise instead of slicing it, because then one person gets the tail and one person gets the head, the collar. But this just comes out beautifully, and you get two nice long fillets. One is a little bit thicker than the other, but the nice thing
I
is,
get that one.
yeah,
That one's me.
once you cut it in half, you can see the profile, and the fish is perfectly cooked. Now, of course, you can cook this to your liking, but we like our fish sort of medium rare, especially salmon, medium rare to medium, and this just has this wonderful, juicy, flaky character to it. So let me, would you mind giving me your plate?
Yeah.
I will get you a beautiful piece of
Yes,
char.
I would, please.
Here's a little char, and if char were here, we'd give char some too.
We would. So I am going to start with the Sauvignon Blanc. I've got the 2019 Cornerstone Cellars Sauvignon Blanc from Sonoma Mountain, Farina Vineyard.
I'll take one more plate.
All right, I have one more plate. There you go,
And
sir.
voila, we're done.
So I'm going to try that Sauvignon Blanc first, and then I'm going to try the Rosé, the 2018 Rosé of Pinot Noir.
Thank you.
From Cornerstone Cellars, and then we'll maybe try that Pinot. I don't think maybe, I think for sure.
I think we'll try all three of them. Why not?
So first the Sauvignon Blanc. It's got nice tropical notes.
Okay.
I think a little a little citrus, some Meyer lemon. I'm going to go in. Take a bite.
I love this because it just comes out all flaky. One big flake.
And tender.
And tender, and it's just beautifully juicy, and it's great. And it tastes like salmon.
It does. It's tender, light.
But then you get that garlic powder and the mushroom and the umami explosion. a little bit of that rice wine vinegar, not rice wine, brown rice vinegar.
Brown rice vinegar.
And it's just luscious. I bet it's great with the, have you had the Sauvignon Blanc yet?
I did.
I'm sorry I'm behind. Here
That's
we go.
okay. I couldn't wait. Open bottle of wine. Come on.
Oh, and with a little bit of that sauteed onion. Ooh, that's delightful. Let's go on to the rosé.
That's pretty nice. All right, let's try the rosé. I like to sip, take a taste, and then go back and sip again.
I just like to cram as much in my mouth as quickly as I can.
Well, that's another way to do it. Perfectly legit. Perfectly legit. Oh, I like the
fish is killer.
I got a little bit of the crusty bit right here.
That should be great.
And you didn't set the alarm off.
No, I was very
Nice
lucky.
work.
I turned this on. It was a little noisy for just a moment, but literally 2 scallions, a piece of fish, some oil, a little bit of powder, and the fish just cooks like so quickly. It's great.
Have you tried the rosé yet?
I just did, and
Rosé
it's
Pinot
just
Noir.
a happy little dance going on
Boy,
in my palate.
That really is nice. The Sauvignon Blanc, I think, works beautiful. The fish gives a little bit more body to the Sauvignon Blanc, a little more roundedness in the middle, I think, a little more tropical, lush fruit.
Yeah, it brings out that nice fruit characteristics of that wine.
Yep.
But this, the rosé, just makes it like a happy little dance. It's just fun.
It does work, doesn't it?
It really is
Just about.
perfect.
I wonder if we are often just cooking things to go with rosé, or rosé just really goes with so many things.
Well,
You know, I have to look
it'd be
at
a
that.
psychological study that we may have to do 800 times.
We might.
And check it out.
Are we just, making things to go with the wines we think we're going to drink?
Yeah, we like Pinot and we like Rosé, so gosh, and the way we cook and the way we eat a little bit lighter, a little cleaner, a little bit more delicate. Maybe we do.
Maybe.
Maybe it's just meant for our lifestyle.
I'm going to go for the 2018.
I'm going red.
Okay, me too. 2018 Pinot Noir from Santa Rita Hills down in Santa Barbara County. And this is the Fiddlesticks Vineyard. And for those of you that like to talk about the clones in Pinot Noir, this has got 2 Dijon clones, it's 667 and 777, about 50% of each. So
I thought it tasted
it's got 2 lush, well, they're both kind of lush clones. That's kind of what they bring to the party.
I've never added the scallions before. It's a lovely touch. It gives it a nice crispy loveliness.
Well, I have to say I really do like that wine. That is just showing beautiful.
Oh, that's
Lush.
nice. Now
Lush,
that is like a
flavorful.
pillow. It wraps around the fish.
Oh.
The rosé kind of danced with the fish as equal partners. They were doing a little samba over
Oh,
there.
and the Pinot got it into bed, and there's
Yeah, exactly. But the
gotcha.
the white wine they were kind of doing a waltz. Man, whew, that is a delicious, soft wrap around. That's enveloping the flavors in your mouth.
All right.
Wow. Clean, crisp, light and tangy, pillow,
All right.
voluptuous.
Did you try the Pinot now?
I did. It was amazing. That's what I was describing.
Yeah.
Wrap around, delicious, voluptuous. Yum.
Yeah. I thought you were just talking about the wine.
No.
But I do think it pairs pretty nicely with the fish, and I think it's
Great.
because of the sear and the coating. And you did add a little bit of salt and pepper first, and so there's
Just
that
a
salt.
sprinkle, and that's a total option. But what I love about this is the mushroom powder and the Pinot Noir. They're just happy together.
They are happy together. You know,
Unlike us.
this is cooked perfectly.
I didn't want to say that, but man, I nailed it again. The first time I did this dish, I hit it to where it flaked, slightly translucent, just done enough. It was so gorgeous. This time I was able to repeat it. The next 2 times I made it, it was a little bit more cooked, but it still had amazing flavor. So it's a very forgiving fish. And if you can get one about a pound or a pound and a quarter,
Fraction, yeah.
then you're a little bit better off. If you get it less than a pound, it gets real thin and you don't have a lot of leeway. This one was the largest one we've ever gotten, which was 1.12 pounds. And it's the perfect amount of food for 2 people. You can even, for an appetizer, you could stretch it to 4 people. It would be great.
It would.
You might end up fighting over it, but
You might.
it is a delicious fish. We found it at Whole Foods. You can't find Arctic Char everywhere. If you have a really good fishmonger around, you might be able to find it, but Whole Foods likes to carry it because it's a very sustainable fish. And if you can find Arctic Char, do it that way. If you can't, find a thin fillet of salmon and do it this way, but this is just a killer, quick way of making something simple, fast, and absolutely delicious.
I'm going to drink to that.
I love
Cheers.
that.
So that was great. It was a quick recipe. I love being back in the kitchen with you.
Oh, absolutely.
This is fantastic. Although it's been fun being out in the vineyard and in the winery with you as well.
But I love having recipes you can do in 10 or 15 minutes.
Really fast, yeah. Especially on those days when we're working long hours.
Oh, yeah.
Because while the fruit is all in, harvest really isn't over.
Well, now the work really begins. I mean, it's a lot of work. She was getting up at 3 in the morning. I was meeting her at the winery at 9 or 10 o'clock, and we were sorting fruit. But, you know, she was putting in really long days. And harvest is toughest, but then the real hard work, making sure everything gets put to bed and gets beautiful in barrels, and then you can make them sleep for the winter. That
we get them barreled down, then they're safe for the winter.
Yep,
They'll take
exactly.
a nap. So, cheers. I'm going to cheers you on the way out. I'm going to have you turn, you know, since you're still our production person.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's time for the camera to go
so
bye-bye.
So we appreciate you joining us again today.
Nice to have you back in the kitchen.
That's right.
We love you all. We love the fish, and I love this woman more than anything.
Love you too. And we'll be back next week.
Absolutely.
Cheers. You better go do that. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to do hand puppets
drinking.
or something. I'm just going to have to keep talking, which
Tell
I'm
them about
happy.
your beautiful
Which
dress.
I'm happy to do. No, come visit us in Yountville. With the new tasting room is open now, right on Main Street on Washington in Yountville. So please come visit us. Cheers.